Oh, what it is, yo? Oh, what's up? I was just on our Instagram live at the Crew Book Club, and I was telling a story about my daughter seeing Trillville, the OGs of that TikTok phenomenon and that song. And I played the, she was like, no, it's not. And I played her the original. And she like, oh my gosh, ours is better. I'm like, whatever, y'all still copycats. And made me think of this, like, I was a big Biggie fan, and you know, he used a lot of old school, a lot of rappers did, but my mom would be like, that's they took that from us. So, and that mom. But anywho, I have a packed day today. And backstory, Believe a Bigger, the book we're doing right now. I read this, I did the journal about a few years ago. And I read the book because there's a group that I had joined, and she asked me to host and be the captain of their book club. So yeah, I read this book for them, and I was like, okay, I gotta do it for my crew. Can't be out here doing stuff for other people, ain't doing it for y'all. What's up? You know what I'm saying? So that's where we got this book from. And this is a journal I did a few years ago. So all has come to align, and we are going to record this podcast. Let me get this audio right. I did a little intro for you guys, and then you already know we're gonna hop on here and pull our audio in, because that's just what we do. That's just what we do. Make sure this recording, this mic is. I was recording one day and I didn't even realize the mic level was so low, and I had to do a whole bunch of editing for no reasons I shouldn't have to. One of the things about me, I love effective and efficient. Being effective and efficient. I hate turning around. Like my daughter this morning forgot her water bottle after I put water in ice in it, set it by the door. And she bugging me about bug spray because she don't want to use nobody else's bug spray. I'm like, girl, it's just spray. But of course, I go get her the bug spray. And then she goes, Mommy, is my water bottle in the car? Girl, I don't know. I did what I was supposed to do with the water bottle. What you were supposed to do? Okay. Thank God we was only 3 minutes from the house, and I turned around and I went and got a water bottle. Now, if we was 15 minutes away, baby, it would have been like, sorry, nah, you gonna be thirsty today. No people would have found her water account. She would have been all right. Anywho, because any other day, they don't drink water all day. So, let's get into it. Error on recording device. Internal port audio. Nah, don't start with me. Audacity. Don't send. Of course, Audacity. When I play, that's time for y'all. My energy is a lot better I needed, well, one, I got my eyes fixed. Two, I needed to rest. I needed to your body will shut you down. Okay. What up, crew? What's good? Welcome to another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. Baby, it is a better week. I hope y'all are feeling good, feeling great. Hey, because I'm feeling 10 times better. I got some rest. There's days that I slept in last week, and I'm happy about that. I'm proud of myself. There was a time that I went to my office because we had like a meeting called Millionaire Mondays, and I usually bring everything with me, my computer, my this, my that. But that particular day, I was just like, I never opened my computer ever at this meeting. So I left my computer at home, that's a big deal for me, baby, because my life, my work is on there. So I'm trying to get better at turning my brain off and leaving things alone and not feel like I have to be so overly prepared. So I'm taking these little habits of trying to help turn my brain off, because it is so hard to turn it off. Okay? On my entrepreneurs, no. I feel like when I worked my 9 to 5, I knew when I got off the clock, that was it. I ain't think about that job. But as an entrepreneur, my livelihood solely depends on what I put out. You know what I'm saying? So my mind is constantly going, and it's really hard to turn it off. So one of the things that I'm trying to do to help turn it off is to leave things where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Like, not take my phone in my bedroom, because I put it in the bathroom, but then I was like, I got down the habit so well that I wasn't picking up my phone. Then I found myself picking it up again, so now resetting that habit. So yeah, all those little things. But anywho, let's get into the pod, because I do have a good, healthy, meaty outline for you guys. This is episode 82. 82. I'm so happy. Consistency, even when I don't feel like doing it, it is what it is. God gives me just enough strength to do it, so I'm definitely thankful for that. It's not just a commitment to you and I, it's a commitment to Him, ultimately. All right? So I have to be obedient to that. Okay? All right, so we started Believing Bigger. We did the introduction in chapter 1 last week. This week we're doing chapter 2, Split Rock Moments, and chapter 3, Stinking, Shrinking, Thinking. Try to say that 3 times. Shrinking. See, I can't even say it one. Stinking, Shrinking, Thinking. Stinky, Shrinking, Thinking. Try it. I got you doing it. But anywho, we are pulling the journal in to go with the Who Gon Check Me Boo segment of the show, and we're going to do day 2. Is Seeing the Unseen from Believing Bigger. So y'all already know, say it with me. Who gon' check me, boo? God is. He is always checking us, because it keeps us what? In check. Okay? This your first time listening, you'll get it. All right. So day 2 is Seeing the Unseen. And I wonder if you know what it's going to mention. It starts with the F. It's the F word that we like. Okay? Faith. It comes from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 7. It said, faith led Noah to listen when God warned him about the things in the future that he could not see. He obeyed God and built a ship to save his family. Through faith, Noah condemned the world and received God's approval that comes through faith. Okay? And in the passage I highlighted, trust is what enables us to access the voice of God with greater intensity and clarity. Noah trusted God's instructions even when others humiliated him. He took the time to build the ark and didn't rush. Building your spiritual trust is the primary why God equips us to experience the incredible. Let me tell y'all something. This is why you have to listen to God so intense and get clarity from Him, because the world will have you messed up out here in these streets. Okay? Now, the prompt question, write this down or screenshot the minute and the seconds, because I want you guys to answer these questions for yourself. What would have become of Noah and his family if he ignored the message and instead decided that it was the right time to step out? I want you to put yourself there. What have become of you and your family if you ignore God's message and stepped out at the wrong time? You know, I had put that if I step out on the wrong time, I will experience struggle that is so unnecessary if I just waited patiently for God to do it. There's so many times I've done something irrational in me trying to do it instead of trusting what God say do. Okay? And you know, you ever had those times where you know good and well what God told you to do, but you still got to go call a friend to like confirm, to make it like, why we be wasting our time doing that? We'll have a whole 2-hour conversation with a friend knowing good darn well what God already told us to do. Why? It's a waste of time. And I don't know, it's a waste of time to me at this point, because I don't need no clarity from nobody else but him. Now, there's a difference if somebody, like the other day, I was out to lunch and we're talking about growing our business, and the person was like, or you could just have a baby. And I was like, whoa, have you been in my spirit? But I feel like that was God's way of saying, and this was a older person, and they've been in the real estate game for a very long time. And they was like, one thing my wife and I regret is not having more children. And I was just like, I said that, like, I don't want to be 60, 70 years old, putting my career so much ahead where I did not embrace motherhood or have the opportunity and, you know, to have kids. Because it's like, what are we doing all this for? But I also know all works for God's timing. Everything works for our good, y'all. So it works for our good even when we step out of line, because God will bring it full forward. But why do we have to go through the struggle if we just wait to do it at the right time? Imagine if Noah would have let his family off the ship and the bird didn't come back. Oh, Jesus, they would all drowned. Okay? Waiting on God could save your whole life. Your family life. Okay? What we do affects the people around us, whether we think it don't or not. All right? So the prayer, it's at the end of the devotional, said, Lord, your ways are perfect and your timing is pristine. Create in me a desire to see in the realm of the unseen, and equip me to trust and act upon your instructions regardless of opinion and conditions. Oh, baby. Amen. Let the church say amen. All right. So that was a Who Gon Check Me Boo Guidance, day 2 from 100 Days of Believing Bigger devotional journal by Marshawn Evans Daniels, Seeing the Unseen. Okay. Thank you all for the crew love. I really appreciate it. Continue to leave your written reviews on Apple Podcasts. Give the podcast 5 stars wherever you can. Share the episode. Follow us on social media, the Crew Book Club, and as well as visit our website for merchandise, thecrewbookclub.com. We have shirts, bookmarks, and you can also order the books that we do there. Be patient with me. I'm updating the books. I know that someone was like, hey, I tried looking for so-and-so on your website and wasn't there. I got you. It's coming, okay? All right. So let's get into Believing Bigger. Discover the Path to Your Life Purpose by Marshawn Evans Daniels. We are in chapter 2, Split Rock Decision. And that starts on page 21. But we're going to hop on down to page... let's go straight to page 30. There's a lot of goodness, but I want to focus specifically on what she mentioned over here. Okay, so unmaking decisions is a way harder than making decisions. Remember on our past episode, she was about to get married to this huge cheater, but his ex-wife ended up calling her, emailing her about how she been sleeping with her ex-husband that's supposed to be Marshawn Evans' new husband in a bed in a house that they haven't even lived in yet. So yeah, if catch up by listening to episode 81. Okay, now on here she starts off on page 30. She says, a lot of people said that it was courageous for me to call my wedding off. Most don't know I wrestled for months with whether or not to give it another shot. So even with all that man put her through, all the signs she had, she still thought about giving this man another chance. But this man opened his mouth and was rushing her. She said, but one evening when my ex-fiance informed me that it was taking me too long to forgive him and he was now done, I realized that God was ending what I didn't have the strength to end myself. Won't he do it? Won't he protect you? God will make a way, whether it hurt your feelings or not. I always tell people, there was a whole conversation about shooting your shot with a guy, but way before I heard that on a pod, I have a friend of mine, and she was just like, I don't know if I want to go up and talk to a guy. I was like, why not? Shoot your shot. The thing is, you can shoot your shot, put it in his ball court, and if he don't throw it back or alley-oop, then at least you know you tried. But for somebody to have hurt you so bad and they was the cause, and for them to rush you to do it, gotta block it, whether they end it. And if you have to shoot your shot to the point where your feelings get hurt, that's okay. Okay, it just wasn't meant to be, but you did your part. And I feel like in this instance, she did what she could do, but God was protecting her, and he ended it. Okay, so then she goes into split rock moments laced with sweet promises. She says, it's hard to move forward when you're still entertaining foolishness. Jesus, okay? Foolishness can be any kind of distraction, anything that is keeping you from breakthrough the life God has for you. Let me ask you a question, you guys. Think about it. What foolishness are you entertaining? Keep it real with yourself. It's some foolishness that I was entertaining, and I had to stop because I realized it ain't no good for nobody. It ain't no good for me, my kids, my family. It was just foolish. And I had to keep it real with myself, because I always tell y'all, if you don't keep it real with yourself, who can you keep it real with, right? So I was just like, let me stop this mess. So I'm going to ask you to stop the foolishness and get it together and move forward, okay? God already trying to block you. Why are you trying to block God, okay? And then when she goes to page 33, she said, God actually uses momentary suffering to create a split rock moment, one that intentionally strips, strengthens, steers, and supplies us for greater purpose if we all get out of God's way and let him have his way. Why is it so hard for us to get out of God's way? We are control freaks. You lying to yourself if you say you're not. We've all tried to do it our way, okay? So there's split rock moments that God has to cause pain to get us to move forward. Why do we do that to ourselves, okay? And then she goes and breaks down this particular scripture in the NIV. And they did not thirst when he led them through the desert. He made water flow for them from the rock. He split the rock and the water gushed out. And it's like, if they can let God lead, we won't thirst. If we really let God lead, we will never thirst. If you're wondering why you're annoyed, confused, worried, it's because you're not letting God lead. Okay? So then let's go to page. There's a lot of juice in this chapter, but I wanted to get down to like the nitty-gritty pieces that really like struck me. And I'm pretty sure if these points are hitting for you, the entire chapter, it will hit. So I highly recommend you order the book. The link is in the show notes for this one, okay? So on page 36, she says, striving and self-leading aren't evil, but when we rely on them too much, they do block us from entering God's next level of anointing. Striving and self-leading is not evil. It's how we use it. It's like, it's a process. Let me get the word from God on what I should be doing, and then let me strive and self-lead on the premise of what he already told me to do. On page 36, she continues, we like to take refuge in the familiar, but God is calling us to see beyond our circumstances and believe bigger. He intends for us to shift from our comfort zone into his glory zone. You cannot get to the glory zone without discomfort, because you're going to have to leave stuff behind, okay? And we love familiar. We love comfort. We love I love routine. You know what I'm saying? We like to know what's going to happen, and to get to God's glory zone, we're not going to know what happened. We just don't know, okay? So then she continues, we can't split the rock on our own. Believe me, God will go to drastic lengths to get to the attention of his darling daughters. And that most certainly includes you. It includes you, sis. So you wonder why you're going through so much turmoil and so many issues. It's because God is trying to get you to a point where he can handle you. And you know it ain't nothing but him. Okay? So then we're going to go to page 37. And I want you to ask yourself, what do you sense God is trying to break up in your life right now? What are you most afraid to let go of? Because I believe once you can recognize that and sit with that, then you can really confess it and give it to God to handle it and move forward. And you know when you really gave it to God is when you don't really care. You ain't trying to be strategic about it. You trying to be like, okay, God, you want me to go here? Shine the light over here so I can make the move. I want to be like the pilot who flying the plane, but God is the person on the ground giving me the light of where to turn and where to steer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's up. That's the relationship I want. Yeah, down here on earth, as a pilot, they can make decisions, right? What buttons to push, what flight, where they want to go, right? But I want to make sure that God, when I am led by him, I have smooth sailing and barely. And when the turbulence comes, I'll be able to handle it. You get what I'm saying? So I'm literally coming up with this analogy on the top of my head, but I hope you can, I hope you get it, sis. Okay? All right. So that was chapter 2. Now let's get into chapter 3, because thinking, we gotta stop. We just gotta stop. And I want to get into the lessons of it all, because there's so much. Y'all, this book is thick, and there's a lot of good that comes out of the book, but I want to make sure I get you the juice. Okay? So it goes into, she says, lessons I learned earlier about responsibility and reliability. However, there are a few bitter thorns in that lesson too. So she goes back about stories when she was growing up, as a kid, to a teenager, and until this point in her life. She says, lesson number 1 is, if you allow yourself to settle for less, no one is obligated to stop you. Okay? When people take advantage of us, to a point, is the responsibility comes when you let them. Like, you know someone ain't good for you. You know a situation ain't good for you. You ever be like, I know they manipulating me, but you don't speak up. They're not obligated to stop unless you make them stop. Okay? You set boundaries. She goes, you are the one responsible for believing in you and for embracing the fact that more is available to you. If you let someone treat you a certain way, they will continue to let you do it. Okay? Basically, that's what lesson 1 is. Lesson 2, no matter how much you try to hide, bigger will do what it takes to find you. I don't care what y'all do. If you're wrestling with knowing you're supposed to do more, I don't care what you do, it's going to find you. She says on page 42, you can hide from people, the uncomfortable, and from things you fear. But the good news is we never took ourselves so far away that God can't find us. God can and often will send someone you don't even know to invite you to meet a bigger version of you. Because he has a purpose for you. And your purpose is connected to other people's purpose. So I need you to get busy, sis. Okay? All right. Or you're going to be finding somebody else doing the thing that you know God told you to do. But because you ain't do it, you choosing not to, he going to give it for somebody else to do. God's purpose doesn't stop. All right? So you might as well be the person to do it. All right. So then she goes on page 42 as well and connected to lesson number 3. You'll never boldly pursue what you don't feel you deserve. What you expect determines what you accept. Ooh. You'll never boldly pursue what you don't feel you deserve. So, do you think you deserve what you're pursuing? Because if you do, you'll be doing it more boldly. Girl, my podcast is I'm recording on YouTube, but I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you're talking to yourself, Sade. Okay. She goes in lesson 3, she has it, I highlighted it. You want to speak up. You want to make the bolder decisions, but instead you shrink. You silence yourself. You calm up. You keep letting someone else go before you. You stop. You settle. Sis, what are you settling for? What is something you need to speak up about to get what you deserve? All right? She says, you see, expectations represent our core self-beliefs. Expectations are not just what we want. They are what we really believe to be true about ourselves. What you're putting out tells me a lot about what you believe in yourself. Okay? And I'm not saying that, oh my goodness, at the meeting the other day, we were talking about as a putting systems in place to already act like you're a multi-million-dollar agent. The systems got to come before the actual money comes, the people come. So if you walking around like you ain't going to be ready for when it comes, and you going to miss your blessing. All right? So you got to prepare, right? You got to be prepared. You got to stay ready so you got to get ready. Okay? So lesson number 4 says on page 43, bigger decisions birth a bigger life. So we got to put our big girl panties on, and we have to make big girl decisions to be able to have a bigger life. When we feed protocol instead of purpose, we settle for less. Everything don't have to go by the rule book. Our Father is God. When He ready, it can happen suddenly, and you're going to have to make some big decisions to have a big life. And I like how she has it highlighted too for lesson number 4. Bigger is about going where God directs and aligning with what is most blessed. Your sister, friend, cousin, mama, daddy might tell you, oh, that ain't the way you supposed to do it. You supposed to be doing this by this age. But baby, that ain't what God said. So I'm just saying, you serve a big God. So we should make big decisions. I'm just saying. All right. So those were some lessons she gave us in chapter 3. And I was like, oh my goodness. So let's re-highlight lesson number 1. If you allow yourself to settle for less, no one is obligated to stop you. Lesson number 2, no matter how much you try to hide, bigger will do what it takes to find you. Lesson 3, you'll never boldly pursue what you don't feel you deserve. What you expect determines what you accept. And number 4, bigger decisions birth a bigger life. All right. So that was chapter 3. The highlight for me in chapter 3 was those lessons, baby. She has some really good points in this about new thinking, new beginnings. You know, that's when the battle really begins. When you start doing new things. It was such a good chapter, 2 chapters. So I highly recommend you get the book and read it. And if you don't, we do have the relationship with Audible where you can get your first 30 days of premium experience and listen to the book on Audible. Okay, now y'all already know a lot of times I talk about the fear of failure and the struggles of just seeing myself. No, I ain't gonna say I struggle with seeing myself being bigger, because trust me, I see it. But we have those days, right? And also, I was telling someone my story about what it took to get me to where I am today. And I was talking about it took a lot of God and it took a lot of therapy. Okay? And I used to be, I'm going to share my story with y'all. Like, I might do like a side episode to really go in depth and tell y'all a little bit more about me and my story, how I got here. And I just remember the moment that I broke down in my car crying and I signed up for therapy. And it was during, I think a lot of us had those breakdowns during the pandemic, and a lot of us discovered therapy. And the company that I started going to was BetterHelp. And BetterHelp was so convenient, but also so helpful that I always be like, y'all, you gotta try, at least try. And so it's affordable, it's convenient. And if you need assistance, they will help you if you let them know. And with the crew, they've partnered with us because they believe in helping people. And you signing up helps me too. So get 10% off your first month of professional therapy through betterhelp.com/crewlove. That's betterhelp.com/crewlove. Try it out. You won't be disappointed. And if you are, remember what I said that I learned was give the therapist at least 3 times. And if it doesn't work out, let them know and they'll change therapists for you. I had somebody say, well, can I request a Black person? I said, yeah, you can. But you can also search so you can see their pictures, their qualifications, and all that. You can say, I want a Christian therapist. You don't have to have someone that's a Christian based. Like there's a survey that you fill out and all those things to make sure they partner you. They'll choose one for you. But if you don't like it, you can swipe through and choose them. I mean, it's better than a dating app. At least you know you get real help from somebody. All right, so check that out. That link will be in the show notes as well. All right, so let's get into the challenge of the week. The challenge of the week comes from the book. It's on page 25, and I titled it Have Several Seats. Okay? And the reason why I titled it Have Several Seats is because, listen, healing hurdles. Once everyone's left, that's when the real healing began. So after her wedding, and they used the reception to party, but it really sunk in once everybody leaves. And I hear this about when people die and go through funerals, they have all the support, but then life goes on for them, but the person is still dealing with the death. Have several seats and process those emotions. But she continues on page 25. She says, my inner tough girl had taken a blow. It forced her to sit down long enough for me, the real me, to take off my mask and realize that it was actually okay for my heart to break. Slowing down and sitting still was hard at first. As women, we're wired to work and drown ourselves in noise. I entered 10 months of reflection, quiet time, and soul searching. I read 13 books and never missed a Sunday at church and kept weekly appointments with my therapist. Okay? So I got you on the books. I got you on the therapist. Go betterhelp.com/crewlove. And now I need you to get yourself together with some quiet time, reflection, and soul searching this week. Every day you should take an hour out of your day to sit and have quiet time with yourself. Okay? Invite God into that quiet time. But sis, this week I'm going to need you to have several seats. In the moments where you feel like you want to speak up, but you haven't processed enough to speak up, that's fine. Have a seat. When you feel like you want to give up and you feel like you need to fight, we don't always need to fight, y'all. We need to process and sit our behinds down, okay? And get some guidance first. So this week, I want you to have several seats, take a beat, soul search, and give yourself some time, okay? All right, so that was the challenge of the week. Now, what would the crew do, honey? This was emailed in. I can't wait to get into this with y'all. It said, you can email the crew at thecrewbookclub@gmail.com for your questions, or you can simply DM the Crew Book Club on Instagram, and I will answer them right here on the pod. So this was actually emailed, and it said, I just discovered from a friend the podcast, and I can't get enough. I love it. I heard you mention that you have had. Now, I'm going to need you to go leave that same review on Apple. And if you say, I don't have an Apple phone, grab you know somebody with Apple phone. But anywho, she said, I heard you mention that you have had the same friends for a long time, and I have several similar relationships with 3 friends of my own. We have known each other since childhood. 2 of us are successful, and our other friend always in and out of work. During those times she is not working, she asks us to help her, but she never pays us back. Now, we have discussed this with her multiple times, that we wouldn't help, but we keep doing it. Should we stop being her friend, or what should we do? Ooh, excuse me. I don't think you should stop being her friend. That's not it. What I think you need to do, no, what I know you need to do is set boundaries. And I'm gonna assume both of y'all must be single, because my man is not gonna have me out here giving my friend money all the time. Like, no. And we need to find out, like, why is she in and out of work? Like, what is it that's keeping her from being in and out of work? Like, what is really going on? I think being supportive always doesn't mean showing up financially. It's like you teach them how to fish. But in this instance, I think y'all need to find out why your friend is in and out of work. Is she not fulfilling her purpose? Is she not, like, what is going on? Maybe recommend the therapy. Maybe y'all buy her something. Ooh, that's a good gift. Get her some therapy. Buy her a few hours of therapy so she can really process why she's not keeping a job. I don't know how old y'all are, but now if y'all in college, oh, well, no, y'all helping her. She in and out of work. So, I have so many questions for you to really help, but I don't think not being her friend. Now, I feel like you should stop being her friend if you set a boundary in place and she get offended because y'all not giving her money, then yeah. Like, if you mad because I ain't giving you money no more because you can't keep a job, then we need to reevaluate our friendship. But maybe something deep down is wrong and she is struggling where it takes over her mind where she can't keep a job. Maybe she can't face confrontation. Maybe she can't face herself. Maybe she doesn't know how to process when things don't go her way and she quit. So I would really have the tough conversation. And if she's not welcome to the tough conversation, then don't be giving her no money. And I wouldn't even give her no money no more anyway. I would be trying to help her get to the root of why. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my advice. Still be her friend until she disrespects the boundaries that you set in place after having a conversation. But don't just cut her off, okay? All right, y'all. I see it is 12:03, and I actually got a call coming through. But we're going to end this episode with a quote of the week, perfect timing. And it comes from page 46 of our book, Believing Bigger. If you don't learn to celebrate yourself, you'll settle for life where you simply tolerate yourself. All right, crew, I want you to go out, have several seats, and stop just tolerating yourself and settling. I want you to live your life God designed and you deserve to be living. All right, crew, have an amazing rest of your week. I appreciate you and love you. Hey.